What's up again? It's Double Rim here, back with another NBA game reaction. And I had to give a reaction to my Portland Trailblazers getting the W tonight. Let's go. Okay, so I had a lot of homework to do tonight, so I didn't watch. I watched the. Okay, I actually did watch most of the game. I was kind of cutting it close there. It was due tonight at 12, but I gotta finish some. But anyways, yeah. So I watched. I'd say I started a little bit, like halfway through the second quarter, and watched uh, pretty much the whole game after that. So what I noticed when I started watching, the Blazers had a big lead, and Sacramento like made a big run, like right as I started watching. Like we were up 10 or 15, and then Sacramento like took the lead. And at one point, I think that was in the third quarter actually. But so it's about tied from what I remember at halftime. And oh my God, this was the first thing I noticed when I turned on the game. It was at Sacramento, right? The Kings fans were going crazy. It was the most hyped opening day crowd I've ever seen. It felt like a playoff game. Like the Kings fans were standing up, they were cheering every possession. It was like, yeah, defense. Like it was like a playoff atmosphere on opening day. And I get it because it's a big game for the Kings because the whole offseason they've been talking about, yeah, we're gonna get the eighth seed, yeah, we're gonna make the playoffs, end the drought. Um, and this is a really big game for the Kings because if you look at their first 5 games of the season, they played Portland tonight, they play the Clippers, then the Warriors, then they play Clippers, Warriors, Grizzlies, and then Miami. So they could potentially start out 0-5, which is a really real possibility because the next 4 teams they play are way better than them, like championship contenders and such. So, anyways, the first game of the season though was against the Blazers, and a lot of people have been down on the Blazers, including myself a little bit because if you watch them in the preseason, they looked like the worst team you've ever seen. And yeah, you can't overreact to preseason, but like it wasn't even that they were losing. Like that's not what I care about. They were losing by like 30, 40 points and like playing with no effort, no energy, horrible defense, horrible everything. And it was just like you'd expect to see something in the preseason, but the Blazers just were like, nah, we're just saving it for opening day. So, anyways, Blazers played great. Dame really struggled. We didn't shoot the ball well. Um, and sorry, I'm just getting besides myself. So yeah, the Kings, they might start off 0-5, and that's going to be really bad for morale because morale's at an all-time high right now. They've got all this hopium from the offseason. But anyways, and they start off 0-1, which is not good. So anyways, so to get back to the game, right? That's kind of the overarching theme of this game. That's why the Kings are playing so hard and the fans were coming out cheering so much. So Kings tie it by halftime. They're just making a run, as one does in the NBA. And then during the third quarter, they got ahead by 10, maybe halfway through the third quarter. And, wasn't anything in particular that I noticed that the Blazers weren't doing. Because honestly, we were playing with pretty good effort. We were playing with pretty good energy. We weren't making horrible like double teams. We were actually strategically like um, switching or like hedging or like if there was a switch with like we were going over screens if it was a bad switch or we were switching if it was a good switch kind of thing, right? So it was actually some intelligent switching going on, some good defense. The Kings were just making a run. They were playing super physical, getting hyped up by the crowd. And anyways, here comes the Blazers. They come back, late in the third, early in the fourth, take the lead by like 5 or 6. They make a run, right? As it's NBA. It's a game of runs, right? And the Blazers weren't particularly playing super well on the offensive end, which is like where you expect them to. And Dame was really struggling, turning the ball over, taking bad shots, missing shots, and Anthony's like I'd say that really it was just a team effort. It's very strange watching the Blazers win this way because in the past few years, every Blazer game devolves into CJ, ISO, Dame, ISO, and it's like we win when Dame has 40 and we lose when Dame has 25, right? It's just like really boom or bust. And that's like how it's been. So it was so weird watching the Blazers play like an actual team. Um, There was some ISO stagnant offense in there, but that just happens in the game sometimes. Like they were actually trying to move it, trying to screen, cut, and all kinds of movement that like I'm not used to seeing. So I was really proud of that. Also, big shout out to Coach Billups. So Nurkic was playing horribly, and Coach Billups in the latter stages of the fourth quarter took him out. That was a really big move and put in the super switchable small lineup of Lillard, Simons, Josh Hart, Jeremy Grant, and Justice Winslow. And Dame and Ant were holding up pretty good. Like Anthony and Dame were holding up way better than I thought. And Josh Hart, Justice Winslow, and Jeremy Grant are all good defenders. So it was honestly a pretty solid closing five, and I was really happy to see what they did, especially since they were able to hold their own against Domantas Sabonis, one of the better post players in the league and one of the only ones, to be frank. So if you can afford to go small on them, you can probably afford to go small on most teams. And it was great to see, like, Jeremy Grant was amazing. It's so crazy, like, seeing an athletic wing like that on the Blazers, because we've never had that, like, for the past 8 years. Like, unless you want to, like, since Nicholas Batum, really. Like, this is the best wing we've had since Nicholas Batum back in 2014. So, it's just been a while since to see, like, a small forward be this capable. And yeah, man, we just kind of clutched it out. The end of the game, kind of had some weird, pace slowing down, like some weird kick balls and some loose ball stuff. But ultimately, Anthony Simons made a big three at the end of the game and then took it to the rack. And we got a few crucial and ones from Jeremy Grant and Josh Hart to really put it away. And it was just great to see. The Kings played with all their effort. They played great. But man, it's the Kings. And their team is just like built to be. I mean, Dame was the best player on the floor, right? And he wasn't playing like it, but he's the best player. And the Kings, do the Kings even have a top 15 player on their team? Probably not. Do they even have a top 20 player on their team? How far down the list do you have to get to De'Aaron Fox is really the question. And it's just hard to win in the NBA like that. So, but yeah, I was really impressed with the Kings. I forget his name on the Kings. He's a new player. His name's like Jones. He had some amazing plays. Here, I'm just gonna look it up real quick because I got to know. Oh, also, Keegan Murray didn't play. I was pretty hyped to see him. Oh, Terrence Davis, man. Terrence Davis, amazing player. You got to love players like this. High effort, can shoot, good defense, high energy. He had this crazy putback dunk and, like, kind of embarrassed Dame a little bit, but he, like, stood over him and got a technical for it. So thanks for the free points. But anyways, yeah, man. I love Terrence Davis. De'Aaron Fox is, still similar. He was going crazy from three. He had, like, 5 or 6 threes this game. So I feel really good about this Blazers win because De'Aaron Fox was going crazy. The Kings crowd was going crazy. Like I said earlier, it was like a playoff atmosphere. It was insane. So the Blazers came in here with all that, with a new team after having a horrible preseason, closed out the game with Dame playing bad and the Blazers shooting poorly as a whole. That's a huge W and has given me, made me a little less down on the season. Also, I was kind of surprised to see Malik Monk not playing. I thought they'd maybe play him more. But anyways, yeah, I loved how Terrence Davis played. Everyone else on the Kings, I don't have really too much to say. Kevin Huerter, huge pickup. I love Kevin Huerter's game. Just a great kind of wing shooter player that any team needs. So yeah, that it was. He hit some huge shots too. Like the Kings were hitting a lot of threes. But yeah, Blazers pulled it out. Just like played well as a team. Good team defense, good team offense. It was super hype. So yeah, that's pretty much my reaction. Not super in depth, like I said. I kind of had some homework, so I was watching the game from the second quarter on, but especially during the third quarter, I was kind of more listening to the game and making sure I finished up my homework because it was due at 12 and I was worried I might not get it done. But anyways, double them out. Thanks for watching. This was too long of a video. Again. But, I just like talking. Anyways, out.